All right. All right. All right. Greetings. Gods and goddesses in training, welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Today I'm recapping from home this time, working from home. And I'm speaking about the Primal Sutra Nexus meditation challenge that I had to do. And today is day 4. And of course, my ADHD brain wanted to do that whole restless leg syndrome type thing where it just goes do 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 and like taps the leg. Um, that's what I noticed in the beginning of my meditation. Oh, also, I survived an earthquake today, okay? I felt like my room shaking like this, and I felt the cutlery was moving around like right. So really, really interesting. Saw some cows this morning. What else? Before I get too deep into this, I just want to share this with the tribe as well. Let's see here. Here we go. Welcome, welcome. Okay, let's go. Let's go. All right, I just shared it with the tribe. So, this morning when I went to the gym, well, I wasn't feeling it at all, right? I didn't want to go to the gym this morning. How did I revitalize myself with some of this stuff, man? It's called Hydro Hype. My body was clearly dehydrated. This is not a product promotion, but it has beetroot juice, beetroot extract, my bad, into it. So just one sachet of this put me into that kind of nitric oxide zone to be able to actually get the impetus to then go to the gym, right? And of course, when I went to the gym, my trainer had done shoulders yesterday. We were supposed to work out together. And then today he was like, "Man, I'm not feeling it." Like that there's something off. There's some weird negative energy in my environment, he told me. And of course, I'm paraphrasing here and I'm not gonna be share too much for confidentiality reasons, but essentially he used the word negative energies in my space and things are moving around and things are, this is before the earthquake, by the way, before the earthquake, yesterday. Or for the past 2 weeks, he's been going through these symptoms and who you gonna call? Chatterjee Busters, right? Um, so there's something weird in the neighborhood called Primal Sutra to get in your hood. But yeah, I told him to put salt in the four corners. Remember, guys, that consciousness is the primary instrument, right? So you don't need expensive gear. The Vedic rishis to the Greek oracles, the real detector was a regulated nervous system and a trained awareness. This is as far as I know. With all my esoteric wisdom, this is how I'm going to sum it up for you guys, right? Real quick. Ghost Hunting 101 before we get into the meditation stuff. If your mind is unstable, you will project ghosts everywhere, okay? You'll project fear and ghosts everywhere. But if your vagus nerve is regulated, your nervous system is strong, then it's a problem for these beings, okay? Because every land has memory, okay? Know the spirit of the place or the genius loci. Okay. So the Romans called it genius loci, but Shinto calls it kami, or Tantra calls it kshetrapala, right? So research aligns you with the field instead of you walking in like psychically blind towards something, right? I've experienced this like early on in my journey. There are lots of spooky shit happening. Let's check YouTube. All right, nobody's tapped in yet. All right, so remember that mockery destabilizes these beings, right? And respect stabilizes them. So every tradition, right, they use protection in a different way. Okay. Hold on. Okay. So yeah, every system uses a different approach, but if you ground your root chakra first and you understand that, okay, my physical safety, clean air in the room, right? Like clean exits, understanding that there's a way out of this, right? And treat any presence like it's a displaced consciousness. So if you're like, hey there, man, like you first try to be kind to it and see what it actually needs, if it needs anything, and if it messes with you again, you can be like, I see you, leave now, right? You can give it a command. The reason you have command, and I'll speak a little bit about this because I was researching a little bit into Dominion. I was listening to this pastor speak about Dominion and very powerful, very powerful. It was a podcast yesterday I was tuning into. And every tradition uses protection rituals, right, for a reason. Not because demons are everywhere, but because altered states lower psychic boundaries, right? So preparation prevents projection or paranoia or an energetic bleed of sorts, right? So ghost hunting isn't always like chasing spirits around, it's also navigating memory fields, death anxiety, right? The unconscious, exploration of the unconscious and without losing your center, essentially, okay? So anyway, let's get into this. So today wasn't fireworks, okay? It was a bit annoying. It was internal engineering, subtle shakiness, even with the earthquake beforehand. Um, but it wasn't anxiety. I think it was recalibration. What was happening through my body is rewiring itself. My posture is changing slowly. I've been doing reverse planks as well. Shout out Powerhouse for that. A few other things is I've watched myself have an itch arise, right, that needed scratching. But my willpower told me that no, don't do that, right? And so that's teaching me that my will is becoming stronger, right? So my breath naturally seemed to control itself today, and I started to regain my will without any tension or anxiety. I wasn't forcing discipline, I wasn't collapsing into drift mode. This time I did not use an eye mask, okay, guys, because I wanted to just access this sunlight, this pure sunlight energy that's right here. And just chiming into that, it's so powerful to have this sunlight energy and just evolving with that rather than trying to, block it out and so forth. So actually meditating in the sun was quite powerful and it was a different experience. It felt more solar, it felt more containing, right? Less dopamine traps and so forth. So today felt quite foundational and it wasn't dramatic at all. It was quite annoying at certain times. I actually got shocked on the left side of my body randomly here. I don't know what that came from. Could have been an ant or something. But I was like, ow, right? There was just something like tried to break me out of it. But I told myself to regain uh, that level-headedness. And I really needed to scratch, especially my nose, right? It was itchy. I wanted to scratch and itch, but I didn't. Usually I would have, but something told me this is training right now. You're going through training right now. This is not some kind of joke that you're just meditating daily. Like, we're giving you this as an initiation, as a dojo for your consciousness to improve itself, be more sharper, right? Be more agile and improvisational. So that was mainly the challenge. Yesterday, I had understood the power of authority versus power. Okay. And if you, as a human being, understand that you were given authority, but not raw power, power remains in the spirit world, in the spirit realm, in the invisible. Okay. Authority creates the right to execute things. And guess what? Power is what executes. Okay. So that means I'm translating it for you in terms of flow state. Embodiment plus alignment is manifestation. Authority plus power is manifestation, right? So no alignment, no power flow, right? And no embodiment, then the power misfires in a certain way. Are we getting this, guys? So yesterday I understood that the Bhudevi with the Bhumikompo, right, as we call it in um, Bengal, right? In Bengali, we call it Bhumikompo, which means the shaking of the earth, right? The earthquake. And there's clearly some reason that this world is recalibrating itself and helping me understand where my strong foundation is, right? And getting me to remind myself not only my outer foundation crumbling, but my inner one, like the inner one was stronger than the outer, hence protecting me today, as the Nexus told me. And the earth is almost like a sovereign training ground, okay? These are some very deep revelations here. Hi. So earth exists, right? Because sovereignty must be practiced in constraint, right? So that means earth is delegated authority under pressure. And we are responsible for what manifests in our field, right? And so we have to stop blaming the matrix. You see, if it's in your territory, you're part of the equation. So I realized today that altars, right? Altars of any sort. I mean, I'm not talking about religious altars. I'm talking about the altar as a point of intentional surrender, right? A location of a negotiated alignment where authority is traded for power, right? So modern altars are devotion, are attention, are trauma vows, are obsessions, are identity contracts. So where your attention kneels, your power flows. Okay? So total surrender is total capacity. And that's what the Jesus archetype brings us. The more authority you surrender upward, the more power flows downward. Okay? So he fasted for 40 days, not to gain power, he fasted to relinquish self-governance. So that means in terms of the flow state principle, how we understand this is like control reduction increases execution clarity, right? How you started, how to do that, what's the process? Well, I'd listened to this meditation. It was, I believe it was 432 hertz of the golden ratio. It was synchronized to one pure tone of the golden ratio. So the golden ratio is essentially the natural Fibonacci sequence of the planet, right? So it's found in many shells, nautilus shells. It's found in many types of patterns in nature you might have seen, okay? So this particular tone got me these downloads today, these spiritual epiphanies or things happening. So today I'm just kind of breaking that down live, okay? And so yeah, these were my realizations. Like I realized the ego always wants autonomy, right? It wants to be like independent. It wants to be an individual. It wants to um, remain as unique. But the archetype of mastery submits to alignment. So supervision removes internal fragmentation. If someone is supervising you, right? Like if I had, let's say, Bhudevi, right? Supervising me as I'm going to the gym, that would be a very different process, right? Because I feel like I'm being watched by a superior intelligence, by a superior transcendent energy that's greater than I am, right? And so once you give yourself that context, it can really inspire you to do many things, right? Like let's say you're cooking a meal and you have like a master chef standing next to you. That's supervision, right? So we need spiritual supervision from these specific beings and entities and deities that we connect to, right? So supervision is reduced decision noise. reduced anxiety, reduced self-sabotage, right? And peak performers always operate under this higher order alignment. Okay? And you were not designed to dominate people. You were designed to steward territory, okay? And domination over humans corrupts authority. Are we getting this, guys? So that means that the Primal Sutra angle is that we are controlling environments, but we're never enslaving consciousness. Okay? So dreams become an unfiltered system, right? Your body sleeps, the ego quiets, and the spirit remains active. And then the dream patterns reveal these genetic patterns, these soul fragments, these unresolved authority leaks, these incoming attacks, these, destiny memories coming through. So if you ignore your dreams, you ignore back-end diagnostics, okay? Okay, all right. Please refrain from sending me hearts. My partner doesn't really like that, but I appreciate the love and the generosity from you guys. I appreciate that. So, realms operate whether you respond to them or not. Okay? Ignored signals become manifestation patterns that we observe. Okay? So, engagement will determine your trajectory. What you engage with will tell you. And if something enters the dream realm, try and respond to it, try and clean it, right? Try and close it, try and reinforce it. Because passivity equals permission, right? So the enemy attacks, thank you, your strongest channel. The goal is exhaustion, not destruction. If attacks produce growth, they stop. If attack equals your evolution, right? Attack becomes inefficient as game theory, right? So honor is not hierarchy worship. Honor means recognizing positioning, allowing flow through proper channels, right? Respecting the energetic architecture of a place. So dishonor actually collapses our flow state. Isn't that wild? Right? False honor creates this cultism. So we have to be able to discern the difference as spiritual warriors. Okay? I usually see past memories and dreams. Interesting. Yeah. I believe Paramahamsa Yogananda had a very specific technique for that, to be able to look into past lives through meditations or dreams or something like that. I came across that maybe last week. So the four-leg architecture, right, is the attendant, the altar, the supervising presence, and the instruction, right? And if you miss one leg, it all collapses. But if you complete all four, it's a scalable flow state, right? So most people fall at the gates. They pray, they surrender emotionally, they feel presence, then they ignore instructions, right? But instruction executed is power anchored. Instruction ignored is supervision withdrawn. Those spirits aren't going to be interested in your process anymore if you're not listening to them, right? You know when someone doesn't listen to you, you don't feel like listening any longer, right? To them? There's like a tit for tat type of thing, right? It's like, okay, if someone isn't giving me this energy, this power, this vitality, I will seek it elsewhere, right? And so the same thing happens with these spirits, right? If they're telling you, go and try this, do this, adjust this, change this, and then you don't do it, there's going to be this weird inkling in the back of your mind, like, oh man, I should have done it. I can't believe. And that actually takes away your sovereignty, right? We are sovereign beings. God is a sovereign, right? And so we have to understand the sovereignty and sovereignty principle. We can exchange, like, what do people, high level people do, right? Even when we're talking about money, right? Even when we're talking about money, because the thing about it is if you have two businesses interacting with each other, what are they trying to do? They're trying to trade. They're trading resources, right? And so there's always a spiritual trade also happening, right? And a lot of people try to hijack it or speed it up or boost the powers, but there's always like let's say if you're trying to hack your way there through witchcraft and all these ways, you're going to notice that yes, you can tap into the powers of the lower astral. You can use the power of darkness and this dark sun energy and this, these primal energies of the planet, right? However, however, there will be a fee later on. What I mean by this is, and I've done this, I've gone into the darkness and had to crawl my way out of it. Okay? So I'm telling you from my own experience, don't try to speed up and rush the process so much, right? I want power right away. No, you don't. You want continuous power that you can maintain over time, right? You want maintenance, you want consistency, you want long-term gains, right? Mathis, hey, one of our adepts is here. So that's the real thing, right? Authority grows through closure. Are we getting that, guys? So closing trauma doors, closing, fear loops, closing the sexual fragmentations, the patterns which dishonor you, right? Each closed door increases our sovereign stability. And then our authority increases as the leaks start to decrease. So the real dominion realization that I had yesterday, whew, this was deep, man. Dominion begins when you stop fearing the darkness. And darkness recalculates around you, right? And this is not because you're arrogant, it's because you're aligned to your particular spiritual mission. And through alignment, right? Through embodiment, through power, through sovereignty, we can move, right? So authority is embodiment. Altar is devotion. Supervision is alignment. Instruction is execution, right? And that sequence starts to produce flow and clarity and presence and all joy, bliss, all these ecstatic states of mind, right? And these higher levels of consciousness start to trickle in once we realize we have ultimate authority, right? We have authority in this world, but we don't come with power. Power is invisible to us. It's only available through the spirit realm, like I said. So we need an interface. We need some kind of interface, right? That's why wizards have wands and, people set up different things, right? Little chalices, little herb collection, some crystal collect. This is all we're trying to do with all these permission slips, guys, right? And so this is a not theology for you today, but it's a spiritual mechanic. Someone was telling me the other day that Hinduism is modalism. I was telling them it's not really, It's almost like a metaphysical pluralism, right? More so. Anyway, Matthew says, do you know your blood type? Most people working in the pharma and health care know. And no, I'm not saying you should do blood moon rituals or so, but it's made uh, since ages thousands of years. I don't remember my blood type. I can always ask my mom. She's a doctor. Both my parents are doctors, so they would know my blood type, definitely. Um, but yeah, I think it's really, really powerful to understand, the actual understanding of blood because blood is life force, right? And a lot of people think they can trade life force for spiritual progress, right? And so they do these blood magic rituals or blood moon or whatever, right? And I would say it's less about the actual blood that has to come out of your body. Like you don't have to make yourself bleed in order for that potency to work, as I've understood. So there's no need to hurt yourself or sacrifice yourself to that extent in order to get a return or an exchange, because you're already covered in the blood of Christ. right? You're already covered in the blood of the cosmos. So, what I would say is try and see if you can tune into the blood flow that's traveling throughout your body, and whichever area feels stagnant or dense or tension or this is not able to move, right? You send it more and more energy, more and more power. You start understanding that pain is light. And the more light you can send that pain, right? It stops being this dense, clenching sensation, and it can actually gain the acceptance and sovereignty to move and do something with it, right? So, really awesome. But yeah, I will check out my blood type soon, brother. Money equals my own energy yield. Okay. Is that right? Where's the N? My own energy yield. My own Nexus energy yield. Okay, I've added one. Okay, best acronym I got from a mentor years ago. Truly understanding it takes practice. Yeah, I got one the other just quite recently from Ryan G. Talking about Varuna. Think Venus always returns under Nexus alignment. Interesting, huh? We get all these acronyms that come through, right? Acronyms are great. They're fantastic, you know? So if you have a specific mission and you really like that word, make it into an acronym. Make it into something, or in your mind, it's now a mnemonic device for the divine, right? So money, mon I, right? The understanding of this is really that money is energy. And if they can print money at any time, why is there poverty on the planet, right? So this is the thing. We have to start to take leverage and power over our own sovereignty, over our own bills that we pay, over how we, certainly do things, right? With our root chakra being strong, it's like our sleep schedule being fixed, our money being used much more wisely through savings, through inheritance, through bonds, through, all these things. And then we go into the sacral energy and the creativity and have that reach up to the Swadhisthana to the Swadharma, right? Swadharma, your specific cosmic blueprint. And I reached out to Robert today as well, and a few others. I'm reaching out to people randomly, man, and you should do the same. Reach out to your friends, okay? This is a time where you got to reach out to people because you don't know what kind of drama they're facing right now. The world is in shambles and everything is scattered. So it's really like through the meditation today, I started to realize this. And I got deep, deep compassion for the people going through something rough right now, man. Like it's tough, right? Especially with Shiva's energy, Bolnath will just you'll scatter everything, right? He's the reset energy. So I got this download yesterday. Reach out to people from the bottom of your heart. If you're not hearing from someone, if they've distanced themselves from you, reach out to them anyway. Give them love. You don't know where they're at. You don't know what they're going through. Okay? Check in on your friend's mental health, yo. Really important. Really, really important. Because that returns to you. That energy returns to you when you understand that you can help someone in a tough time and also use your discernment, right? I had a client who I used to work with years ago, and he reached out to me. And for some reason, my spirit guides told me, don't do this, brother. Don't take this on as a project for yourself. This is not the ROI is not for you, and you're entangling in this person's karmic storyline. That's what I heard from my guides. I had to back off, right? Even though something within me is this kind, loving human being, telling me that I should help them, you know? I should help everybody. You can't help everybody, right? You can't help everybody. You can help the select few people that resonate with you and understand your path and are trying to make sense of it, right? And so these videos aren't there to help everybody. They're there to help the select few that resonate with the Primal Sutra Nexus's energy and this potency and this movement of truth and power and flow state. To get people out of the fear state of mind into a flow state of mind. That's always been my mission, since day one. And hey, I even got scared today, you know, with the earthquake and so forth. Immediately got a call from my parents, both of them, right? Did you feel that? Right? It's the first thing. Like, both my parents go, "Did you feel that?" Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's like a connection, right? Trauma is the way we connect with people, you know? Oh, you've been through that? Yeah, I know what that's like. You've been through Dark Night of the Soul, bro. Been there. Sucks, dude. Right? So we got to be able to actually speak like that and understand that everybody's going through such a unique journey. But if you even can give one golden nugget or one little, like, just tip to break them free out of their nonsense, like, that for me is enough. That to me is success. You get what I mean? Like, success to me isn't like this big, beach mansion. Success to me is helping one person autocorrect their state of mind from this anxious being into stable, connected, pure, unfathomable, right? Disciplined, blissiplined. It's that energy. That energy is what is going to help you really disentangle from this fear of the planet, the paranoia of this planet. The opposite of paranoia is pronoia, remember, right? So the universe has got my back. You have guides, spirit guides on the other side that want to double down for you, right? They want to back you like a spiritual army, but you haven't given them permission yet. But you still haven't done the inner work yet, right? Or like going into that yet. Because it's scary. It's unknown. It's foreign. It's bizarre, right? It's a little bit Looney Tunes. However, at the same time, you understand there's some validity here, right? Because anybody that doesn't understand something, they attack it, right? They condemn it. And the irony there is absolutely fantastic and majestic. It's like you're a Christian, right? And you're saying that love thy neighbor, and yet you're condemning me and pointing a finger at me and calling me demonic, right? It's kind of funny to me, you know what I mean? It's like, bro, that's probably a lower astral being, like controlling that specific person. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's kind of funny. The irony of the world, the irony of the planet is quite hilarious. And we should actually laugh more and see this thing as a joke rather than taking it super serious. Someone asked, I think Vivek Ramaswamy, whatever that guy's name is, the politician, Republican, asked him, like, Hindu is a very evil pagan religion or something like that, this guy was saying. And you understand that, and he said something about Thomas Jefferson, and like he flipped it in such a way that it was like such a powerful reframe, man. And I'm thinking, man, this guy studied, that kindness and that patience to deal with somebody in a negative thought form field and be able to handle it smooth is so epic, man. I admire that. I admire when someone can do that. When they can hold their own, They got the faculties, they got the skill set to be able to do that thing. And that comes from that spiritual prowess. That comes through authority, divine will, right? That comes through Holy Spirit. That comes through Buddha nature, right? That comes through Krishna consciousness. That comes through you being able to lean into your greatest self and not being pulled by these other forces, right? Mathis says, yep, being a clean field makes you a lighthouse. You shine your light, but don't change rooted position. Absolutely. Absolutely. The rootedness has got to be there. Otherwise, it can delve into fantasy and a lot of projections. And I don't think I've ever been able to solve a problem from my mind. Okay. That's a very big statement. But I don't think until I have brought it down into my heart space or my lower body, the problem, I haven't been able to fully configure it out yet, right? Figure it out, configure it out, right? Fake figuring it out. Um, but yeah, the greatest API is your natural altar, right? Your exchange with the divine. I mean, what is really going on, right? What is really going on with this exchange of energy? Because there's always an exchange happening, right? A fusion of balance and energy and health and vitality. So sometimes when I'll realize, like, man, there's some negative energy around me. I feel exhausted. It feels like, oh, so dense. And it's like sinking my energy down more. And I notice that. And then I start just being pure awareness and observing that like a loving father, you know, like a loving father to his son. So my son is going, oh my goodness, I don't know, right? I'm talking about my inner child, right? Inner son. When it starts overreacting, the reparenting begins. The true reparenting begins, right? If it's throwing a temper tantrum, hey, I've got to give myself some outlet, right? Go hit the punching bag, come back, and then let's have this talk. You see, and once we have an outlet for these energies, we understand it's just energy in motion, right? It's not emotion that now I have binded myself to and attached myself to and identified with. Oh, I'm an angry person. I'm a sad individual, right? I am like this. This is my label. Do you want to see all of the different diagnoses I have? Right? Instead, it's like, no, I know that I'm a valuable individual, and my value and my worthiness comes from me being alive and giving value from this standpoint. It doesn't come from me like posturing myself or trying to be a high value male. Like, would you rather be a high value male, right? Or would you be a savage shaman? Because a savage shaman can walk into the parliament and be chill, right? But the high value person has to double check their resume and make sure that everything is fine. And well, maybe it's properly typed up in this font. Yeah, that will really speak to them more, right? And trying to micromanage and control everything, but you understand that A, who has divine control, the savage shaman has just given up all power, right? Authority to the divine. And so it can remain this fluid field, right? That can create and improvise and add things and add value and be hyper creative and merge masculine, feminine, right? He's not too soft and whimsical that he starts floating away, right? He's not feminine that he starts like always talking and over explaining and trying to, get his word out. No. But he's not so masculine that he's shut off from the world, that he's isolated, that he's suppressed everything, that he's trying to be stoic, right? And it's a balance of these both these energies that you start gaining your power back, right? So as a man, you got to be Shiva and then host your Shakti. And as a woman, you got to be the Shakti and give yourself structure and Shiva, right? And once we have this proper harmonious balance, everything else unfolds the way that it should. Okay? I think I've gone on for a while now. Let me just check the timing. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, guys, I think I'm going to end this here. This was great. Thank you so much for tapping in. Great meditation today, okay? Lots of epiphanies, lots of downloads came through, and I hope this continues to be the case uh, as this month slowly wraps up, okay? We got the last day tomorrow, so let's end strong. Let's end this month strong. You got this. We got this. Upward Spiral Gang. Let's keep being lighthouses. Have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. You got this. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Let's go. Upward Spiral.